Hello, I'm Jessica Montgomery and this is Buckingham News, live at 5. The university has been awhirl with rumours and conjecture since the cancelling of the SU elections and the annulment of the Law Society elections last Friday. Amid several complaints of harassment from students and election malpractice by telling people not to stand, an investigation team comprising of Professor David Billington, the Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Professor Bob Watt of the Law School, the Registrar and senior tutors cancelled both sets of elections. These will be held early next term instead. Professor Billington's announcement was an ending as far as the authorities were concerned, but have nonetheless prompted much speculation about the nature of the offences, the perpetrators and possible sanctions. This is still very much a live and breaking story. Jarla Kader interviewed Professor Billington to sort the facts from the loose talk.
Last week, most students were looking forward to the hustings that were to precede the elections for Student Union President. So how did the administration reach a decision to cancel it?
David Billington explained how the University Charter, a legally binding document, allows for action to be taken when complaints of this nature are made.
Well, the university has a duty to ensure that student union elections are free and fair. Under the university's Royal Charter, we establish a student union for the educational benefit of all students. So therefore, if the university believes the elections are not free and fair, it's up to the university through Senate and the Vice-Chancellor as the Chairman of Senate to decide whether the elections should go ahead, whether they should be cancelled or whether they should be declared null and void, which is what happened with the law school elections.
When can we expect a result of the investigation?
The investigation is being conducted by the Senior Tutor's Office. I would hope they will have a result of the investigation before the end of term. Clearly it's a complicated matter. They have to interview a number of people because there have been a number of complaints, and also interview the people who've been complained against and collect evidence and then come to a view on what their decision will be.
If someone or several people have exerted undue influence, what are the sanctions available?
That depends exactly what the complaint is. If it's a question of electoral malpractice, then the sanctions under the electoral system would be they would have their vote discounted and then potentially be banned from standing for office in any student union or society elections. If the complaint is of personal harassment, then it will be treated under the Dignity at Work and Study policy, and other sanctions are available to the senior tutor, including fines and other matters.
After the investigation, will these people be named?
It's not normally the case the senior tutor publishes full details and name details of students investigated for complaints by other students.
Regardless of the details of the ongoing investigation, it has left those who are going to stand reformulating their plans for next term when the election process will be started again from scratch.
Me and my entire group, the Buckingham Students' Alliance, have said that we will continue to run, we will continue to campaign for further transparency and democracy in the Students' Union.
Will you be running for election next term?
Yep, that's the plan.
Current SU Executive Secretary Lape Famuyibo declined to be interviewed, but said, "I prefer to remain silent on the issue until it is resolved and students are provided with reasons as to why the election was cancelled." So it's business as usual for the current elected SU officers until the new election. Damian Wilson, the SU president, will actually finish his course in June.
The current vice president is Ms. Alaji Thamathirian from Mauritius, so she will become the next student union president under the Constitution until a new elections is held.
My team and I will work closely with the SU office to make things go as smoothly as possible until the next elections.
This is pretty much a snapshot of the situation as it stands. Events have moved so quickly this week, we simply cannot say the investigation represents the last word. However, the complaints and the way they are being dealt with show an underlying belief in democracy and fairness at this university. This is Jarla Kader reporting for Buckingham News.
This May, Buckingham Council elected Councillor Lisa O'Donoghue as the town's new mayor. Following her predecessor Ruth Newell's successful time in office, as the new holder of the office, O'Donoghue has a lot to live up to. Will she rise to the challenge? Moi Hoi Joy went to find out more.
Buckingham's female deputy mayor, the councillor Lisa O'Donoghue, has taken a step up and now is the new mayor of Buckingham. Before becoming a town councillor in 2011, she was known for her youth work around the town and has since set up the town's first youth council. With future generations in mind, O'Donoghue is determined to bring about change in Buckingham. We've spoken to Mayor O'Donoghue to find out what she plans with her new position.
Change is a funny word because the mayor doesn't really have a lot of power to change anything. Being disabled, it would be nice to have some more disability access, but a lot of the shops and businesses in town are listed buildings, so they can't make changes. Because we have so many houses now in Buckingham and so many more people, I would like to see more leisure facilities. A lot of young people would love there to be a proper bowling alley or big cinema chain. We do have the film place here, but because of the licensing restrictions, they can't show out like newly released films. So a lot of young people and residents are going across to Milton Keynes to see films. Why not have a proper cinema here? Why not have a bowling alley here? We are a really big town now, so it'd be nice to see something like that come here.
Mayor O'Donoghue is no stranger for Buckingham and has plans to make it a livelier and happier place for its residents. Hopefully in the future, we can see her make her mark as the mayor. This is Mo Huizhou, Buckingham News.
What's the point of shelling out £9,000 plus on a degree when the first words you speak in your new job are, "Do you want fries with that?" The Huffington Post recently listed degree subjects ranked by their employability post-degree. Some of it does not make for happy reading. Jovan Djordjevic looked at how Buckingham students might fare.
Various degrees are increasingly subject to scrutiny as some students think they're too easy and essentially represent a 3-year holiday. However, according to official figures released by the Higher Education Statistics Agency, there are some degrees which are pretty likely to leave you out of work and claiming benefits.
The statistics suggest that geography is the least employable degree, sitting above the other usual subjects to snobbery, such as sports science, in the top 5. So-called prestigious subjects hardly fare better. History is the 4th least employable subject, alongside French, that takes 5th spot. As history is a subject that is taught at the University of Buckingham, we asked the head of the department, Professor Clarke, why he thought the national employment rate for history students is so low.
I think that is a national statistic, but national statistics are by definition simply aggregates. In my own experience, my students from Buckingham and elsewhere have actually done very well in the job market.
But students need not worry, as the University of Buckingham has come top among the non-specialist institutions in the country for the 3rd time. The figures released by the Higher Education Statistics Agency show that the university scored 96.9% for job prospects. Tracey, Dunkley, head of careers, explains why.
I think the reason Buckingham does do well on the employability tables is because the Careers Service has an employability programme that's open to all students, and we look at preparation for CVs and help with applications for jobs and also further study, and also with interview techniques.
These statistics only take into account those students who have graduated after 6 months. They do not count those who intend to travel or have taken a gap year. If you're interested about your job prospect, contact the Careers Office. This is Jovan Djordjevic reporting for Buckingham News.
In other news, Bucks 101 Radio has launched, with a variety of shows from general chat to Afrobeats, streaming from 6 till 8 in the evening. There is something for everyone. Are you thinking of getting your own show? If so, tweet us at Chandos101 or message us on our Facebook page. If you want to listen in, go to facebook.com/Bucks101Radio. The 3rd edition of Buckingham Art for All, also known as BAFA, was held at the Woolpack Pub over last weekend. The exhibition consisted of over 60 anonymous works of art, and the revenues will be donated to the Macmillan Cancer Trust.
We've had a good year this year. The preview event on Friday gave us 5 or 6 sales, which was brilliant. All of our artists are local, and yet there is such a great professionalism.
Last Saturday was International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia, a worldwide event to promote equality and acceptance. In honour of this day, we've created our own LGBT flag, made with what students love, alcohol and sugar. So everyone watching, come down to the Chandos Row building after the broadcast to celebrate with us and our Rainbow Skittle vodka. Not all is pleasant in the verdant environs of Page Hill in Buckingham. Some troubled residents are comparing their quiet neck of the woods with the wild streets of Brixton because of what they see as an increase in antisocial behaviour by youths playing ball games. Michael Pearson went to find out what's being done about these complaints.
Violence and disorder. These aren't two words you would normally associate with Page Hill, but these were the words used by local residents to describe a situation where youngsters were playing football in the middle of a residential area. The disorder kicked off in March 2009 when one resident became the centre of the issue after footballs were being thrown into their back garden. At the Neighbourhood Action Group meeting, which took place at the old jail behind me, residents spoke of their frustration of how neither Aylesbury District Council or Buckinghamshire County Council seemed to be able to resolve the matters.
The residents believe that if there were some obstructions put in the grass, maybe more planting or mounding the grass, that it might deter the football.
And is that something you can do?
Ideally, yes. Certainly in the realms of possibility. The problem is on that piece of land, it's something the council is not very keen to do because by putting obstructions in the grass or mounding it, it makes it more difficult to maintain. One of the residents has asked if we could at least put a no ball game sign up, which would at least give them something to point to say, look, the council doesn't want this to happen, can you please go and play somewhere else? So I'm trying to find a way of getting that sign procured cheaply and quickly. Budgets are tight throughout local government. Our central government have put some very, very tough challenges to local government with budget cuts, but it does mean that small projects and small things like signs and benches and bins, we really have to plan ahead.
The residents now believe the situation can be simply resolved by making the area less accessible for the youths, but that remains in the County Council's hands. This is Michael Pearson in Page Hill for Buckingham News.
Now over to sports with Alex Biddle.
Thank you, Jess. When you think of a typical golfer, you either imagine retired men in checkered trousers or the likes of Rory McIlroy. May's National Golf Month and Sade Beckley Lines went to Buckingham Golf Club to find out more about this most civilised of sports and how students can get involved.
Golf is traditionally seen as a sport to be taken up later in life, but with hundreds of golf clubs across the UK and professional golfers becoming ever younger, it is the prime time for students to get involved in playing.
William Wordsworth once said, "Golf is a day spent in a round of strenuous idleness." Whether this is true or not is debatable, but when your day is spent in the beautiful surroundings at Buckingham Golf Club, it's easy to see why so many enjoy playing this growing sport. Greg Hanna is the golf pro at the club who teaches classes for anyone who wants to learn. Although golf is known to be relatively archaic, times are changing as the younger generation are getting involved.
People have their ways, clubs have their ways, and it takes time to change that. But what they've found is that by bringing youngsters into golf, or younger people, students, it's made the golf club a happier place. It's made the older members feel younger. And it's surprising how many of the older members want to take part in helping the youngsters play their golf, develop them. And it's great because the youngsters learn to interact with people who are in their 70s and 80s.
The golf club have ties with the university, and many students opt for a round of golf after a long week of studying and partying.
So I like playing golf because it's, as with many sports, it's a great time to relax and think about something else. And I think golf in particular, it requires a lot of concentration. But on the other side, it's great to come and play with friends. And it's great because Greg, so the manager of the club, is a really nice guy. He's the one who gives us the lessons in our group. Great teacher.
With summer just around the corner, it's the perfect time to pick up a golf club and get playing. Soon enough, you'll be wearing pattern jumpers and scoring your first hole-in-one. This is Sade Beckley Lines for Buckingham News.
Despite this being a relatively average season for the University of Buckingham's football team, there have been some standout performances and spectacular goals scored. The annual Football Awards being held this Friday to celebrate the players who made a difference this year. Agiri Omaha has the story.
It's safe to say this season has been quite disappointing for the university's football team. However, there have been some great moments and fantastic goals scored.
Team captain Stephen Regulus and main striker Gabriel Fayiah
on hand to give us their views on how the team performed this season.
Overall, I think we started off very, very strong. The bonus that we had with that was that we had players that have been on the team for a longer time. Second half of the season was a bit harder because we had to incorporate new players.
At the beginning of this season, the team performance was pretty good until in mid-season where we had different players combining with us. We had so many problems in terms of players during the break.
Captain Regulus also spoke about the upcoming Players' Player Awards.
Every year we do the awards, but we've tried to change it up a little bit this way. We've got a couple of awards awarded to players. Some of them will be awarded to players that we thought have done well enough in the season. And so, it's mainly looking to give back to the players that have given themselves, to the club this season, and they deserve that recognition.
Although the university did not perform quite as well as they could have, there are still some good signs for next season. This is Gabriel, Buckingham News.
And that's it for this term's sport. Back to the studio.
A 17-year-old girl died after her throat was cut outside her home on Hunter Street. Her next-door neighbour was taken into immediate custody and charged with her murder. According to police, the act was premeditated and the motive was jealousy. Alex de Brouw has this report.
Annie Leeson was collecting water from this well when her love-struck admirer saw her from his bathroom window. As Annie continued up the street towards her mother's home, her neighbour chased her whilst calling for attention. He caught up with her here and slashed her throat from ear to ear using a razor blade. His father often confiscated the razor from him after finding it in his possession. Furthermore, friends of Stephen's said that he often boasted about killing Annie. She ran across to Londis for help. Shop owner Mr. Uff carried her up to his home and held a cloth to her throat to stem the bleeding. He said it looked as though her head was almost severed from her body while she lay upon him. When she burst into the shop, Police Constable Seaton saw the extent of her injuries and immediately sought medical assistance. The somewhat aptly, if not macabre-sounding local doctor, Robert Death, rushed from his home a few streets away to help Annie. But he was too late. She had already died from her injuries. The killer, confirmed as William Stevens, aged 24, then ran down Norton's Place where he attempted to commit suicide. Dr. Death was then called to the scene, where he successfully sewed the self-inflicted wounds, yet whenever Stevens drank while in prison, it would seep through the stitching in his neck. In court, he said, "I should have been dead, and I should now be in heaven with my dear Annie." This crime happened in 1864. Stevens was first held at Buckingham, but was later moved to Aylesbury Jail, to be hung in front of 4,000 people. We've looked into the past of Buckingham, as this month is National, Local and Community History Month. Go to history.org.uk to find out the history in your town. You can see what events are on in the area too. This is Alex de Brouw for Buckingham News.
This is our last bulletin of the term. In the meantime, we will keep you updated on the SU elections and everything to do with the university on our Facebook page and on the radio. Thank you for watching Buckingham News. Good luck in your exams.